me, it's simple. Every child in this country deserves access to a great education. Every child out there, no matter what their background, no matter what their parents did for a living, no matter where they live, where they reside, what zip code they come from, every child deserves access to a great education. For me, that's a moral imperative. And so we need to have leaders in Washington who understand the importance of sending that power, sending those resources right back down to local communities and ultimately to parents.
That, of course, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, and we believe soon to be candidate for the Republican nod to run for his party's effort to become the next president. He was at that convention, the American Federation of Children Policy Summit, to extol his own successes while governor of his state, and he claims to have done rather well when it comes to education. To talk about that further, joining us is Jason Russell, commentary writer for the Washington Examiner. Jason.
Hey, thank you so much for having me.
Welcome for joining us on a day where you should be home playing water sports.
Well, I'm happy to be here anyway.
Well, we're glad you joined us. Listen, you wrote an article, as it happens, about Governor Walker. Walker touts Wisconsin's educational reforms. Let's begin by talking about what those big wins are that the governor says he's accomplished.
Well, obviously the most famous reforms in Wisconsin are, most recently, he passed right-to-work legislation, and a few years ago he severely limited the ability of public sector unions to collective bargain.
And that obviously includes the teachers' union.
Yes, that obviously includes the teachers' unions. And so in some ways you've seen a lot of those, those developments play out, but even though over the course of the next decade or so, those changes will have an even bigger effect as they are implemented even further. But there's also some school choice programs that Walker has expanded as well, giving children more access to private schools and other kinds of charter schools, as well as other kinds of public schools and different courses as well.
Well, there appear to be two areas where the governor has claimed some real wins. One of them is the state's most recent average composite score on the ACTs, which is a test that high school students take around the country to see how they're doing. He claims that he's coming out way ahead, and I think number 2 in the country. Is that right?
Yeah, and they were way behind before, and he also touted their graduation rates. If you look at the graduation rates in Wisconsin, those are way up, specifically for low-income and disabled students as well. Those groups are both graduating at much higher rates than they were under the previous administration before Scott Walker took office.
Well, because I found those claims so interesting, and I did want to see if Governor Walker really had achieved these, I went and did a little digging on it. There are some people who don't entirely agree, although I do want to tie it back to the issue of teachers union, because I think that's where you might be onto something here. But apparently, while it is absolutely true that Governor Walker did see an improvement over the past year, the 2012-2013 ACT college admission scores, when you compare this most recent to what it was the year he first took office, it's exactly the same, 22.2.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't aware of those numbers, but certainly, lots of education scores in lots of states are going up and down. But I think, most of all, Wisconsin wants to be competitive. They want their students to, graduate well from high school and be well educated. And so if they're still scoring well compared to everyone else in the nation, that's probably still something that Governor Walker can celebrate and tout on the campaign trail for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, the reason I'm a little sensitive, to be honest with you, on this topic is I've been involved in pieces I've written in the past where they do expose how Governor Walker has a tendency to cherry pick sometimes and interpret it in a certain way to make things look a little better. I did also find a couple people who say that his claim that he's improved the graduation rate is also being cherry-picked in certain schools, although I really couldn't find anything to prove that, so I don't know if that's true.
No, the data, I did my own research on the data and my own objective research to figure out if the graduation rates were truly improving, and that's what I found in my own research.
Right, okay.
There may still be some gaps, but those gaps are, decreasing between, rich students and poor income students.
Well, if that's true, and I believe your research, I give him credit for that. I really do. That's incredibly important. Let's go back to the issue of how this could be the result of taking away some of that intense power that the teachers unions have. What's happened as a result of reducing that lobbying clout that has led to better results inside the schools?
For the most part, school districts have been able to take money and resources that were previously going to crony union contracts, and they're able to put those resources back into the classroom. So money before that would have gone to a hand-picked union health plan is now instead going towards putting more resources in the classroom, making sure students get a better education instead of going to unions.
In the short time we have, are they finding that getting rid of the seniority system has played a big role in keeping some better teachers in the classroom?
Absolutely. That's what we've seen across the nation. Scott Walker specifically told the story about one teacher who, in her first year, she was an award-winning teacher across the state, but because of the state's last-in, first-out layoff system, she was laid off.
John, I got to wrap you up. I'm so sorry. We'll talk about this some more. Thanks so much.
Thanks so much,
John Russell. Coming up next, the Malzberg panel with former Navy SEAL and FBI agent Jonathan Gilliam and Senior Fellow of FreedomWorks Tom Borelli, both here to talk a lot of Memorial Day related stuff. They couldn't find two better people to do the job. Don't go anywhere. Stay right with us.